Good morning, Internet. Yashoda here with West Coast Yoga. Today we're discussing Satsvarup's erotic novel, which is known as Sanatorium. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Satsvarup wrote an erotic fiction called Sanatorium, and he believed this book could help preach Krishna consciousness, even though it contains descriptions of erotic qualities and sexual activity. There's been a lot of criticism of this book from the ISKCON community, but unfortunately the GBC have failed to comment. And so I'm going to read some of the online criticisms of Sanatorium. If you want a copy of the book, you can go on Amazon or eBay. The following is an excerpt from Satsvarup Das Goswami's latest novel, Sanatorium, which is hot off the press, according to his website. The book is published by Gita Nagari Press, and the following excerpts come from pages 360, 361, and 420. Satsvarup is still pretending to be a sannyasi, and the GBC also promotes him as such. Why doesn't the GBC comment on this sannyasi's latest sex novel? Satsvarup has pilfered millions of dollars of Srila Prabhupada's money for his own personal lifestyle of sense gratification, and he continues to do this even today. The reason ISKCON is struggling throughout the world is because these false leaders are stealing all of ISKCON's money and spending it on their personal sense enjoyment. It is time for all this nonsense to stop, but that won't happen until all ISKCON devotees throw out these rascals. Now please read the following excerpts from the latest novel written by Satsvarup Das Goswami, current ISKCON guru and sannyasi. I'm going to caution my audience because there is explicit material. So this is a direct quote from the text. Bold as she was, she placed his hands on her breasts. She then kissed him and placed her tongue in his mouth. His tongue also entered hers. She embraced him, and by now he had a half erection. Braj Das sat down and calmed his genitals. He didn't want to stick his genital into some well-formed beauty star. He wanted Sandy, and he had heard from a godbrother who worked as a physical therapist that a man could even have sexual intercourse with a paraplegic. It's not just a sticking of a penis into a vagina. It's the being together and the touching and the embracing that lead up to the mechanics and the orgasm. End quote. In the book's acknowledgement section, Satsvarup has written, quote, most of all, I acknowledge my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I pray that Sanatorium pleases him and that he blesses it to be widely read around the globe. End quote. I will be the first to say Srila Prabhupada is not pleased with this useless book, and he is not pleased that ISKCON leaders have become so fallen and corrupted by Kali. Please do not follow such rascals any longer. How long will you remain blind, following these people and spoiling Srila Prabhupada's movement? Editor's note. Satsvarup's Sanatorium was recently incorporated into the curriculum for devotees participating in a seminar presented by Haridas Prabhu at the Bhaktivedanta College in Belgium. After reading excerpts from Satsvarup's poeticized Lilamrita, the facilitator had devotees students reading from Sanatorium. Here's a comment from Guru Vani. What the heck is half an erection? It's real sad to see those nice devotees getting ambushed by some nutjob like Satsvarup. Here's a comment by Arun Das. By analyzing Satsvarup's book Sanatorium, and his nightmarish, crazy art of ghost painting self-portrait, one comes to only one conclusion. The guy is totally nuts, a retard crank and moron. But even more crazy and insane are all those who still support and worship him. Perhaps it might be possible that Satsvarup unconsciously depicts himself in this novel Sanatorium because he himself belongs to a sanatorium or asylum for the mentally retarded, still struggling with his unresolved sex desires and fantasy. For Satsvarup, it seems more important to describe about sex and the half-erection of the penis than to describe about the pastimes of Krishna. I'm going to now read an excerpt from Satsvarup's confession about a fall down he had with one of his female disciples. The young woman's name was Pranada Dasi. So this is from Satsvarup's own confession. As a young sannyasi, I developed a secret attraction for Pranada Dasi in 1978 in Los Angeles. Later, I gave her and her husband at the time Vadiraj Das' second initiation. I never revealed this attraction to her or anyone. In 1980, when Pranada Dasi's marriage to Yadiraj failed, I suggested she move to Gitanagari. Sometime later, she began managing Gitanagari Press, my tape ministry, and assisting me in a secretarial role as my typist for letters to my disciples and other duties required to fulfill my GBC responsibilities. From 1980 to 1985, due to my ongoing attraction to her, I instructed her as her spiritual master to do many things that were quite difficult for her. These included moving away from Gitanagari, leaving her son behind, and getting married. After she married and moved away from my home zone, my attraction subsided. Therefore, my attraction lasted about 7 years. In December of 2001, I was at a medical and spiritual low point in my life. I had wanted to tell Pranada Dasi before I died of my old feelings for her because this was a part of my life. Naively, I told her of my prior attachment to her. I did not anticipate the result of my confession, which was a revival of the old feelings. Thus began an illicit and intimate romantic phone, email, and letter exchange lasting over a year. During this year, she also visited me 3 times in Ireland, and during one such visit there was physical intimacy. During this time, I was diagnosed with anticipatory anxiety disorder. Pranada became involved with my care team, since she has some expertise in handling this disorder. Of course, this was a formula for further fall down. However, my relationship with Pranada Dasi wasn't the sum total of my spiritual life being at a low point. I was exhausted from the constant migraine pain and reaction to the doctor's supervised medical regimen. This low point also manifested in several ways, including reduced japa. My simple spiritual analysis of this fall is that Krishna saw some pride in me. As a spiritual master, sannyasi, and man, I failed miserably before Prabhupada and Krishna. In November 2002, we decided to end the relationship. So as we can see, this is only a part of the confession. Satsvarup was engaged in all kinds of extramarital activity with his own female disciple. And this is just one piece of the evidence that he is unqualified to hold the position of a manager or leader within ISKCON. Thank you.